Hello fellow coders, and today we are deep diving into the Text Composable from the Composable UI library. In this video, you'll be learning all the basic and advanced concept of the Text Composable. With this, we'll be also creating this cool looking application where we are basically having a text which is basically saying hello. Now we can input any text over here like coding hub, and we'll be seeing this text over here. Now we are also having this cool looking outline button. Now upon clicking on this, you'll be getting this dialog box which is basically having a title, a text, and two buttons like cancel and confirm. Now upon clicking on this confirm button, the text field value and the text value, which is now coding hub, will be replaced. So now we can click on this confirm, and now you can see this coding hub has been removed from here. So we can again have coding hub over here. And now if we click on this delete text and we click on this cancel, now see, this time we are not removing this particular text. Are you excited to refine your knowledge about the Text Composable and how to create this cool looking application? Surely I am, and it won't take you much time, and I will be explaining each line of code from basic to advanced. So don't worry, even if you are a beginner, you can directly jump into the video and you don't require any prerequisite. So let us jump into the code. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to basically create an empty activity project. For that, you can come to this file, click on this new, come to this new project, and then select this empty activity and then click on the next button. And using this, you will be able to create a new application with a new empty activity. After this, you will be receiving this main activity.kt file, which will be having a default code like this. Now for now, what you have to do, you have to basically remove these two things from here because we'll be not requiring this. The next thing will be that we also remove this greeting call from here for now. Okay, so we are done with this part. Now the next part will be that we come to this, file over here, which is com.memo.text_composable. Right click on this. Now you might be having any other. So this is basically known as package. Okay, now you have to click on this new, navigate to this Kotlin class file, select this file and name your Kotlin file. Now I will be naming it greeting. Okay. Now I will be having this greeting, .kt. Now you have to also navigate to this greeting.kt. Now over here we'll be writing our composable, where we'll be learning more about the Text Composable. With this, we'll be also creating the application demo, which we have shown in the first part of the video. Now, the first thing which you have to do, you have to use the composable annotation. So you can simply say composable. Now, you can use this Android X compose.runtime. Okay. Now, the next thing will be that you have the function. So we'll be having fun greeting. Okay, so we are having this greeting function over here. Now this greeting function will have a body, right? Now this greeting function will basically receive a string, and that string is the string which will be showing in our Text Composable. For this, we can simply say name, and then we can say string. Okay, so this string is the one which we'll be using. Now the next thing will be that for now we come down to this greeting and we focus on our text. And for that, because we'll be also jumping into the project directly, so we can directly use a column first. And in this column, we'll be basically having few of the things like a modifier. So modifier, you can say modifier and equals modifier. Now, what is modifier? So modifier actually help us to define the size, the alignment, and all of that. Okay, now we can have modifier dot fill max size, and after this modifier we'll be defining the alignment and the arrangement. So we can say horizontal alignment, and then we can say alignment dot center horizontally. So what it will be doing, it will be basically aligning all the items of this column horizontally at center. Okay, now we will be doing same for the vertical. We can simply say vertical arrangement, and then we can say arrangement dot center. Okay, now all the items in this column will be centered at the center of the screen. Okay. Now the next thing will be that we focus on the text over here. So we can say text. And this is our text composable. Over here, the first parameter which we pass is a text. So we can simply say hello. Okay. And then we can append, the string which will be passed to this greeting, which is basically this name. So we can say hello name. Okay. Now the next thing which we have to do is that we have to define multiple things of this text. So let us understand more about the text components. Like the first thing which we have is basically size. So we can simply say, we can come after this and we can have a comma. And then we'll be having a circular over here. Now we'll be having the basic thing, which is basically font size, and this font size, we can define it as 24.sp. Now, sp is basically a unit metric using which the size is basically being measured. We'll be having a separate video where we'll be covering about the dp and the sp. For now, just remember that sp is basically a unit metric using which we define the size of the text. Okay. Now, the next thing which we want is that we can have, we can say a weight. So we can say font weight, and let us, define the weight to be normal. So we can say font weight dot normal. So for this, we have to basically, define the font weight. So it will be basically, capital F. So it will be font weight, and then we can have this dot normal. Okay. So now the weight of this font will be normal. Now, you can have bold and all of that thing over here. Now, let us provide a decoration to this text. We can simply say text decoration. And in this decoration, we can have text decoration, dot underline. So there will be an underline to this particular text. Now, this text will be having an underline, right? Now, we can have the alignment. So we can simply say text. We can say text and we can say align. And here we can basically have like text align, dot center. Now the entire text, will be in a center to this text composable boundary. Okay. So let us suppose the text composable has a boundary of considered to be 300, dp wide, and let us suppose, 200 dp, in the height. Then basically it will be focusing the entire text to the center of that particular block. Okay. Now the next thing will be that, we can have a max line. So what max line is, max lines are basically, so we have to have a comma over here before that. Now max lines, basically it is something using which you can define the maximum lines this text should be having. So we can say max lines equals 1. So we can say that, and we can have a comma. Now the next thing which we can have is a overflow. Now where is this overflow being used? So let us suppose you are having a short text block, and inside this text block you are having a very long text. Now to show that text entirely in this text block, either you have to reduce the size of the font, yes, but if you reduce the font size, so much, then the text might not be visible. So what is the optimum way? That you use a overflow. Now what will overflow do? It will basically only show the first few characters, or we can say the first, first text which can be, represented on that block, and the remaining text will be followed by a dot dot dot. So a user can basically know that, this is not the only text, but there are more texts which can be seen. Okay. So we can simply say text overflow, and we can have this clip, ellipse, visible. So there are multiple things. For now, let us use clip. You can see all these things by changing the values. Now we have a modifier at the last, and this modifier can be used to, provide a padding and all of that. We can say modifier dot padding, and let us give a padding of 8 dp. Okay, so now we are having 8 dp, and this dp is also a unit metric, basically used to define the size. Okay, now we are having this greeting, and let us call this greeting from here. So we can come down and we can say greeting. And in this greeting, let us pass something like this coding hub. Okay. And now if we basically run this code in our AVD, okay, now we can see this hello coding hub, and there is an underline as we specified this underline over here. This is the underline. Now we are also, having the text at center because we have aligned the text to be in the center of this, text composable, and the arrangement is and the alignment is set to be center. That's why we are having this entire thing, in the center of the screen. We have defined this size to be 24 SP, and the max line is 1, so we are getting only 1, right? And now let us see few more things. Like, let us have this, font weight to be something else. Let us have this to be something like bold. And if we rerun this code, see, now we are having the text bold, right? Now we can use anything from here, like we have thin, normal, bold, black, extra bold, extra light, and all of that. We can have something like, black also. So if we specify this black, then we'll be having something else. Okay, so now we are having this. Okay, so for now we'll be basically having this only. Let us keep it. Okay, now what we can do is let us focus on the more things. So you can also have fonts which you can use directly over here. For this, what you have to do, you have to simply minimize this first, and let us minimize this also for now. Now the thing is that we want to use a font. Now how we will be using that font? Let us suppose we go to our Chrome browser. We can search for Google Fonts. Okay, and then we have to click on this website, which is Google Fonts, and we'll be finding all of this fonts, which is like Roboto, Notosans, and all of this. Now you can use any of this font as per your requirement. Let us suppose we want to use a font which is Roboto, right? Now we have to click on this. Now you have to click on this download family. Okay, else you can also select the font which you want. For now, let us download the entire font. Now this font will be downloaded, so we can directly jump into the folder. See, now we'll be having this Roboto black italic, Roboto bold, bold italic, italic light, light italic. Now the main thing over here is that you have to make sure that everything over here is in the lowercase, because we'll be storing this in the res folder. Now the next thing is that you don't have a dash, but you have to use an underscore. Okay, now what we have done, so we are having this Roboto which I have already created. Okay, so I have basically removed the capital. Now it is only having smaller than, and instead of this dash we are now having an underscore. So you have to use this format only. Now I will be using only this two font for now, which is regular and thin. Now you can also do that by extracting the zip file and just renaming this. Now you can use all of that font. Now over here, what we have to do, we have to come up and we'll be expanding this project. Come to this res folder, right click on this, click on this new, come to this Android resource directory. After coming to this, you have to use this resource type. Now you have to select this font. Okay, so you have to navigate up and you will be finding this font. Now click on this OK. Now after copying the font from the folder, you can directly paste it by pressing Ctrl V. Now you can say OK. Now we'll be having that two font files, which is regular and thin. Now you can have more like bold and all of that. For now, we'll be using this only. Now what we have to do, we have to come below this greeting function. Now we can simply call val, and we can say Roboto font family, and then we can simply have a equals, and we can say font family. Okay, and in this we'll be basically passing the resource ID, so we will be saying family. Okay, and in this font family we will be using this, and then we can have font, and in this font, the font will be using this res ID, and here we can simply say r dot font dot let us use the regular first, and then we'll be having a comma, and then we can say font weight, something like that, and then we can have, normal. Okay. Now similarly, we will be having another one. So we can say font, and then we can say r dot, font dot roboto thin, and then we have to specify that the font weight is light. Okay. So we can say font weight, and then we can say it is thin, so we'll be using thin. Okay. So now we are having our custom font, which is roboto font. Now you can, use any font by following this simple syntax. Okay. Now you can have more font like bold for the roboto by just having a comma and, pasting that particular file over in the res font folder. Okay. Now the next thing will be that we come down over here, and in this, after this font size, we can basically specify something like font family, and then we can pass the roboto font family. Okay. Now what it will be doing, it will be basically using the same font which we have specified. Now let us recompile this code and see, whether we are having that change. Now we have to make sure that we make this font weight to be something like normal, because we are having normal over there. And now if we recompile this, okay, now we are basically having that. And now you can see this Hello Coding Hub, and it is basically the roboto font, right? Okay, now we have understood a lot about, Text Composable, and now let us focus on creating our application. For this, what we'll be requiring, will be basically requiring another thing, which is basically our text field. So we can come down over here, and then we can have this something like text field. Okay, now text field is basically being used to take user input. Now we can have name over here. So what we are saying, that the value which we'll be getting, it has to be stored in this name. Okay. Now we'll be having on value change, and in this on value change, okay, now in this on value change, we have to specify that in this on value change, we'll be saying that on name change, we can have this ID, and then here what we have to do, we have to basically, define this on name change. Okay. Now what it will be, basically, let us see. So what we can do, we can come up, and over here we can, have that thing. So we can say something like this. So we can say on name change. Okay. So it is basically a callback lambda function which will help us to, reconstruct the entire text field. Okay. So recompose the entire text. Okay. Now we are having this. Now the next thing is that name. Okay. So we can say name. Now the next thing will be that we specify the label. So we can simply say, have a comma, and then we can say, so after this comma, we can basically say that, let us suppose we say label, and in this label we can have a text again, and let us specify the text. The text will be enter your name. Okay, so it will ask the user that you have to enter your name. Now after this, what we can have, another comma, and in this label, after this label, we can have a modifier, and in this modifier we'll be having a padding. So we can say modifier dot padding, and let us give a padding of 8 dp. Okay, so we are basically having a padding. Now what it will be doing, it will be basically, revalidating the name. So if user enters something like coding hub, now name will be having coding hub. But the problem over here is that even if we have a coding hub over here, this text will not have the coding hub. It will still be having the value which was passed from here. So we are having this coding hub. Let us make it blank for now. So there will be no text over here. So for this, we have to, reconstruct this greeting text. For this, we have to have this on name change over here. So for this, what we can do, we can come to this main activity, and over here, we can simply, say that we can have a comma over here, and then we can say on name change. And in this name change, we can basically say something like, user. So for this, we will be basically having another var. It will be basically a remember state var. So we can say username by remember. Okay, and we have to import this remember. Okay, so remember it will be. Okay, so after this, we can have mutable state of. So it will be basically a empty string. Okay, now we have to come to this and we have to import this function remember. Then we have to import this also. Just a second. So we have to replace this mutable state of, it will be capital O. Okay. Now let us see what we are getting. It is saying import function mutable state of. And it will be having the get value and the set value imported also. So we have to import that too also. So we have imported all the things which are required. Now we can directly say username. So we can say username equals, and we can, have this something like IT. Okay. So we can have this also. Okay. So we are done with this. Now the next thing will be that instead of this blank, we can directly pass this username. So for the first time, username will be blank. And let us suppose, we change this username over here. So let us suppose we are changing this name. Now this username will be, updated again, due to which, because it is a remember state, this greeting function will be recalled with a new value of this username, due to which this text field will be again recomposed, okay, with the updated value. Okay, so this is what we are trying to do over here. Now the next thing will be that, we focus on the next thing. So we will be requiring an outline button. And this outline button, the reason we are using it, it will be basically helping us to open the dialog box and close the dialog box, right? For this, we can simply come up and have, remember state for the dialog box. So we can come down and then we can simply say where is, is dialog open, and then we can have by remember, and then we can have this mutable state of, so it will be capital OF of, and then in this we can pass a value false. So for the initial, we are basically saying that, the dialog box is closed. Okay, so we have to import these functions, import the necessary things like the set value, get value, Okay, so we can come down and we can import all of that. Okay, so we have imported everything. And now the next thing will be that we come down and over here after this, this text field, what we can do, we can simply, have our, basically the button. So we can simply say outline, so capital O, outline button, and in this button will be having an on click, and if this button is clicked, now we will be writing that is dialog open, and we'll be making the dialog true. So we want that the dialog is now true. The reason is simple. Whenever this button will be clicked, we have to make the dialog box, open, right? So we have to open the dialog box. So we'll be basically saying that the dialog box is now open. Okay. Now we'll be having a comma after this, and then we can come down. Let us have a comma, then come down, and now we can simply say that modifier. Just a second. So it will be modifier, and in this modifier we'll be basically having a padding. So we can say modifier dot padding, and let us give a padding of 8 dp. Okay, now the next thing will be to specify the color. So we can say colors, and in this colors we can simply say button we can have this button dot, or we can say button default, and in this we can have this outline button colors. Okay, so we can have this outline button colors. Okay, and in this color we can simply say content, we can say content color, and then we can have this color dot red. Okay, now let us specify the icon, so we can use this icon, and now in this image vector we can have this icons. Okay, and in this icons we can have this default, and then we can say let us suppose use this delete. Okay, and in this content description we can have a description if we want. Let us say delete. Okay, now the next thing will be that we pass the text which we have to show, and then we can simply say text, and in this text we can say like delete text. Okay, so we have shown that. Now we are basically having this outline button which is basically having a text, and the text will be delete text with the icon, and the icon will be the delete icon. Okay, now the only thing which is basically been remaining is the dialog box, or we can say the alert dialog. For this we can come down to this particular line and we can say if, and in this if we can say if is dialog open, and in this if we can simply say alert dialog, and in this dismiss request we can have something like we can say that is dialog open, and we can make it false. So upon clicking on the dismiss request, we'll be making sure that we remove the dialog, the alert dialog, due to which we are basically making this is dialog open false. Okay, now we can have a comma after this, and we can have enter. So we have to make this comma again, and then we'll be having enter. And in this alert dialog, what we'll be doing, we'll be basically having a title. So we can say title, and in this title we can simply have a text. So we can say text, and in this text we can have something like delete text. Okay, so we can have this delete text, and after this title we'll be having another text. So we can say text, and in this text we'll be basically having a text something like this, and the text will be it will be you sure you want to delete the entire, or you can say entered text. Okay, and after this text we'll be having another comma, and then we can simply say confirm button, and in this confirm button we can have a button, and it will be basically a button which will have a text. Okay, so in this text we can basically come down and let us specify the text. So this text will be something like we can keep it like confirm. Okay, and in this to do we can basically specify what we want to do. We can click enter, and then we can simply say something like is dialog open, and we can make the dialog close. And the next thing will be, so we have to have a equals over here, and the next thing will be that we have this on name change, and we make the string empty as the person has clicked on the confirm button. Right, now the next thing will be that we focus on the next thing, which is basically a dismiss button. So we can say dismiss button, and then in this dismiss button we can simply say button, and in this particular button we can have a text, and this text will be basically cancel. Okay, and in this to do, what we can do, we can simply do one thing, that we make this dialog again false. So we will just close the dialog. That's it. Now if we are getting this error, let us see why we are getting it. So so what we can do, we can remove this one for now, and now we are done. Okay, so this was the only problem which we were having. Okay, now let us try to compile this code. And now we are basically having our application. Now we are having this hello. Let us provide a value, something like coding hub. Now we are able to say this value coding hub over here. Now if we click on this delete text, now we can see the alert dialog where we are having these two buttons, the title, the text. Now if we click on this confirm, now see the text has been removed. And now if we again have this confirm, like a text confirm. And now if we click on this, and then we click on this cancel, now this text is still there. So this was the ultimate thing which we aimed for this video. We were able to understand about the text composable. With this, we were also able to create this cool looking application. In the next video, we'll be also covering the other UI components. Till then, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming updates.